Dylan.
And I'm Kiyan.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we'll explain everything later, because this week we watched The Curse of Fatal Death. Forgot what I watched there for a second there, even though I watched it yesterday.
Written by Stephen Moffat.
Directed by John Henderson.
And aired on March 12th, 1999.
Yeah, so Stephen...
So we're at the reboot. No.
Almost. I mean, this is Stephen Moffat's first writing credit for the show. Little did he
first
know.
and last.
Little did he know he would have to showrun the show for 6 years.
Little did he know he would be forced into... No.
Yeah, little did he know he'd be forced into wage slavery to keep Doctor Who alive.
No, he actually seemed like a pretty big fan of Doctor Who based on the behind the scenes for this.
Yeah, he is. Which I guess is
just a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it is. He clearly in the behind the scenes for this, he doesn't know that they're going to bring the show back because he's all, I'd love to do Doctor Who for real, but it doesn't look like they're going to bring it back.
Well, they probably didn't know in 1999 anyway, or maybe they just kind of started knowing.
I don't think Russell T had the idea to bring it back till the early 2000s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure no one went, hey, you know what we should bring back? Doctor Who. No, but this is just a comedy sort of sketch, not sketch, but a special, I guess, if you don't know what this is.
Yeah, it was made for a completely different telethon. I think it's a telethon called Comic Relief. Actually called Comic Relief.
So. Oh, I get it, because relief. That's basically, that was my laugh for all the jokes in this. It was just ha, 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 ha. Because most of them weren't funny, but we'll get there.
I feel like a lot of them were funny, if any were funny. I thought some of them were funny because of the delivery and not necessarily because of the writing.
I only thought the Master's jokes were funny because Price, or whatever his name was, I think is just a good actor, so apparently also a method actor.
I mean, I thought Rowan Atkinson's bits were pretty funny because I think he's a pretty funny guy.
Yeah, he's funny as Mr. Bean, but in this he wasn't that funny. Well,
so this exists because, to quote Stephen Moffat, he inseminated the producer.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that line was a joke or not because he kept repeating it. And he did it with a complete straight.
He's married to her now.
No, I mean like, just why would he use that word? It's just such a strange and not normal word to use.
That's also true.
So I couldn't tell if he was just doing it for a joke or not. He said it with a completely straight face, but yeah, I don't know. It's maybe one of those British vocab words that's common.
Inseminated?
Yeah, but not over here. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, it doesn't really matter. So
no, I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, he's just obviously using family connections to get into Doctor Who
as you do. And apparently,
what's the term for that? I always forget. It starts with an N, but yeah.
Nepotism.
Yeah, that.
Yep. So yeah, apparently they always get big name actors for these things. So they got Rowan Atkinson and Hugh Grant and Richard E. Grant and Joanna Lumley and whoever it was that played the assistant. I don't remember because I guess she wasn't as famous as the other people.
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of them except Rowan Atkinson.
I recognized Hugh Grant and Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, those sound familiar.
Not by face, but I recognize their names. They're really young in this compared to what I know them from, so... Joanna Lumley I only recognize by name because every Doctor Who podcast ever mentions Joanna Lumley, and I've never seen her in anything.
Yeah, I've never even heard of her.
Well, you have now. So it begins with the Master cackling about his evil plan while watching the Doctor on the view screen, and then the Doctor's like, you should turn the microphone off if you're gonna spy on me.
Should have had a laugh track.
Well, the ones that had a laugh track at the end of the special extras weren't made any funnier by the laugh track.
No, nothing ever is. Actually, most things are made worse by the laugh track. But I just want a show, and if they can do it on Doctor Who, that would be great, where the laugh track is just one guy going, ha, 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 after every joke. or just one guy actually laughing, like, really hard. Just like, After every single joke.
Sounds like you're choking on something.
Yeah, they can throw in some more audience sort of lines, and they're like, boo, or, just some background noise there from the audience.
Well, when we're show running Doctor Who, we can have an episode that's just entirely that.
All right. And why stop at an episode? Go for a whole season.
No, I think we should stick to one episode. I think quit while we're ahead kind of deal.
Sure. Can't wait till they put us in charge of Doctor Who.
Oh boy, 20 years from now.
It's gonna happen. 2030.
Dear BBC, I would like to apply for the position of Doctor Who showrunner. My qualifications include a long-running and highly successful Doctor Who podcast. So then the master turns off the view screen and cackles more about his plan. And the Doctor's like, you only turned off the view screen. You didn't turn off the microphone. You did the exact opposite of what you meant to do, in fact.
The Master's like, oh, shoot.
And then the Doctor's like, well, I actually have something to tell you, Master.
Master's wearing a Time Lord outfit, I guess. She doesn't normally wear.
Yeah, and his TARDIS is green, so...
No, really? I didn't notice that.
That was interesting. Yeah, the inside of his TARDIS is completely green, and the inside of the Doctor's
the inside. His TARDIS...
red.
His
Actually, maybe
TARDIS...
that's backwards.
No, his was green. The inside of the Master's TARDIS actually just looks exactly the same as the inside of the Doctor's TARDIS now. It's just green.
Yeah, well, they only had one set, so...
Yeah.
that they borrowed from some fans.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So they land on some planet, Terceris. Yeah, they're in some corridors.
So the Doctor's like...
An homage to the classic series.
Yeah, the Doctor's like, on Terceris, they could only communicate through finely controlled emissions of gas through their bottoms. So, the classic easy, cheap fart humor, basically.
Yeah, hilarious. No, it actually wasn't.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Actually, this is the point where it started being really not funny.
I don't know. There were a few funny lines. I thought the couch of moderate comfort line was pretty funny.
No, I didn't even crack a smile at that.
Well, I did. I thought it was funny. Because the Master lands, he's like, I bribed the architect to put a spike wall right there. And they, spin around the wall, and the Doctor's like, say hello to the couch of moderate comfort.
Yeah, because the Doctor's like, well, I went back in time further than you and bribed the architect to put this couch here instead. Asher's like, well, I foresaw that and bribed the architect to put this death trap thing here instead. This wall
that's going to fall on you right there. Which falls, and it's really obvious that it just falls in front of the Doctor and his assistant instead of on top of them, but... then they're like, yeah, well, I bribed the architect to not crush me. Look, I just have to tell you something, Master. Can you stop trying to kill me? And the Master's like, I guess. Then the Doctor's like, I'm settling down. Found myself a wife. Gonna go have a farm and 2 kids. I'm tired of all these gravel quarries.
Does he actually say he's gonna have a farm?
No.
Oh.
He does mention that he's tired of all these gravel quarries, though.
Yeah, I didn't get that, I guess.
Yeah.
I was kind of half paying attention to this. But, yeah, it would be really funny if he, started a farm and then realized that being a farmer is, one of the hardest jobs. You're just like, oh, shoot, why did I do this? Goes under and goes bankrupt because he can't run his farm.
Well, he's got a TARDIS. He could time travel for some farming tips.
Yeah, you could just plant the seeds, time travel to when they're fully grown. No.
Genius. Although, what would the point of that be?
No, they'd just be dead.
Yeah.
Completely withered and untaken care of pieces of garbage.
And then the Master's like, yeah, well, I can't let you do that because...
I can't let you do that, Doctor.
Because then my life would have no purpose. So I guess I'm going to kill you. Maybe your next persona will be more agreeable.
So the Master tries to kill the Doctor, and... but it turns out that the Doctor actually went back in time and bribed the architect to put the pit trap under the Master instead of under him. So he falls into the sewers.
And then spends 312 years getting out of the sewers.
Yeah.
He finds his TARDIS and he travels back, so he He busts through the door like the instant he's fallen through, and he's like, "Damn you, Doctor."
312 years down there. And the Daleks show up.
Yeah, the Master says the Daleks are the only ones who would join him because they don't have noses. Which plays into the plot later, kind of, barely.
So the Master has augmented his right hand with a Dalek plunger. He's like, "I've improved myself tenfold. Prepare to die, Doctor." And the assistant's like, how does that improve you? The Master's like, just die. So he runs at the Doctor and the assistant, and he falls into the pit again.
Yeah.
And spends another 312 years in the sewers. This was the only joke that I thought was funny, with him spending 624 years in the sewers.
Which spends another 312,
yeah.
But... kind of dumb that he'd augment himself with the plunger hand instead of the beam hand that can kill practically anything in the universe. But...
Yeah, but, you don't want that cool plunger as a hand? No.
Not really.
No.
Anyway, he comes back on a walker and he's like, "Attack!" And then...
the Daleks charge the Master and assistant...
the Master and his assistant,
the Doctor and his assistant, and they push the Master back into the pit. He spends another 312 years in the sewers.
The Doctor and his assistant run around through some corridors for some bit, and then open a door, and there's just tons of Daleks, and that's how part 1 ends. And then part 2 begins with
the War Games recap, where they go back 5 minutes.
Yes. But then we get to them tied up on a chair, and the Master has rejuvenated himself with Dalek technology and has added etheric beam locators. And then the Doctor's like, "You have breasts?" And he's like, "No, they're beam locators."
Yeah, they're basically the Dalek bumps.
Yeah, on his chest.
Yeah. Golden, so I guess he's the Prime Dalek or whatever it was called.
One wonders why he put them on his chest. The Emperor Dalek?
Yeah.
Dalek Prime, the Dalek Controller.
I don't think Dalek Prime was actually one of its various names. Actually didn't have various names because they're different Daleks, but whatever. So the Doctor needs to use fart communication to inform the Master that the Daleks are going to betray him without just flat out saying it. Except it doesn't work because the Master repeats everything the Doctor says.
Yeah, I actually did like that they brought back this thing they introduced in part 1. The Doctor's like, "I bribed the chief architect. How do you think I communicated with him?" Like, "Oh yeah, good point."
Yeah, I guess sort of just... Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of cool. It wasn't just a one-off joke. But at the same time, it wasn't funny, so...
No, it wasn't funny. It was just kind of cool that they set it up and then brought it back. Yeah. Kind of like a real Doctor Who story should do.
So the Daleks are like, "Wow, we're gonna kill you, Master."
Oh, the companion makes a pretty funny joke. Like,
why do you... it's not a companion, it's the assistant.
The assistant makes a pretty funny joke. Like, why do you even have chairs on a Dalek spaceship?
Oh, yeah. That was another part that I actually thought was kind of funny. The Dalek was like, "I'll explain later."
Oh, yeah, we forgot the whole running gag where the Doctor's like, "I'll explain later," to all his assistants' questions.
Yeah. So the Doctor and assistant are freed somehow. I think a Dalek misfires its beam or whatever.
The Master makes a mistake and the thing's gonna blow them up. So they let the Doctor and his assistant go to try fix it, but then they accidentally shoot the Doctor, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm dying." And the Master's like, "Don't worry."
So he regenerates into the handsome Doctor.
The mildly handsome Doctor.
No, isn't it the very handsome?
No, that's the later one. That's the 12th Doctor, is the very handsome Doctor.
Great.
The first one is the mildly handsome Doctor.
Huh. So, yeah.
It's Richard E. Grant, I think.
He's only there for like a minute.
Yeah. Well, so the assistant's like, "Man, I really like your new body." And he's like, "So do I." And he licks the mirror. Forgot about that part. He's like, "Wow, lick the mirror, handsome."
He's like, "Oh God, I didn't know it was broken. My tongue. No.
Why do Daleks have a mirror? Yeah, so anyway, he's really...
conceited?
Yes, conceited. The word I was looking for, though, or the word I'm still looking for, is...
Not there for very
promiscuous.
long? Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, not there for very long, because he goes to fix the machine, and behind the machine, zap, and now he's the shy doctor.
Yeah.
Who's like, oh, I don't think I'm really into women anymore.
Yeah, so the code gay doctor, right? Because it's 1999 and they can't just come out and say the gay doctor.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But he's there for even less because he just runs away and regenerates for some reason.
Again,
I don't remember why he regenerates.
Well, he's like, wow, maybe the problem's back here, and he goes and he regenerates, and then the very handsome doctor comes out and it's like, oh, look at that. I've run through 3 bodies now just because I forgot to unplug before I worked on the machine.
Yeah.
Tisk tisk. Apparently, this doctor is one of Russell T Davies' favorite doctors, even though he's only on screen for like 3 minutes.
Really says a lot about... No, okay, I don't know. Then he regenerates into the 13th Doctor.
No, so he gets zapped by the Zektronic energy beam that could wipe out the entire universe and give Daleks the control in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the Master's like, not even Time Lords can come back from that.
And the Master reforms his evil ways because he's like, Doctor, I've seen your goodness and it's inspired me, so I'm going to quit being evil now.
There are a lot of things in this special that Stephen Moffat brings back when he actually runs the show. A lot of things that I'm noticing when I'm watching this.
Well, there's that thing like writers only really have like 5 stories max, and or between 1 and 5 stories max, and they just keep retelling the same story with a different coat of paint. And that's actually true, like, for most writers of TV and books and pretty much anything. They kind of just tell the same story over and over and over again with just slightly different elements.
Yeah, because having watched, I guess, all of Stephen Moffat's era now, save for one episode that hasn't aired yet, there are a lot of things in this that he brings up later in the show proper.
Hopefully in a more serious way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like things like, oh, the universe can't bear to live without the Doctor, or the Master trying to reform his ways, or the Doctor regenerating into a woman.
Well, Big Finish kind of already did the Master trying to reform his ways in Master.
True. Yeah, that's
But then
that's
again,
true.
who's listened to Big Finish?
Us, apparently.
Like 12 other people.
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting when we get there, because we can bring it up now and talk about the ideas that he shamelessly nicked from himself.
Well, no, I mean... You can... I mean... I don't think that's the right way to put it, right?
Shamelessly nicking it
from yourself? Like, if it's your idea...
Yeah. No, I'm just being funny. Or trying to be.
Okay. Well, and plus most writers just shamelessly nick stuff from other writers and...
Also true.
And put their own spin on them.
Good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Yeah. So anyway, the Daleks...
Also true.
In another funny bit, the Daleks also decide to reform their ways.
Because apparently these are the final, 12 Daleks in the universe or something, because the Doctor has saved the Dalek race.
Yeah, it's always been whenever they said it's been the final 12, it's always been the final 12,
Oh, yeah.
Like
There's never any other Daleks stowed away somewhere else.
There's never that last-minute scene where one of them's still alive. But no, the Doctor regenerates into the 13th Doctor. So that's actually one thing they got right in the 2005 series, is that the 13th Doctor is a woman. So I wonder if they were basing it off this. Probably not.
I mean, Stephen Moffat didn't cast the 13th Doctor, but when you see the series, you can see he clearly laid the groundwork for the Doctor to be a woman in his 13th incarnation.
Okay. Interesting.
He laid the rails, so to speak, I guess. And Chris Chibnall just saw the writing on the wall and was like, guess I'll go with it.
Guess I have to go with it.
Guess you pigeonholed me into doing this idea, Stephen. No, apparently Chris Chibnall was like, this is what we wanted from the beginning, and it works out great. She's a pretty good actress, so...
So yeah, well, I mean, we'll get there in 3 years, but as for now, we get the real and better 13th Doctor. Okay, no, I don't know.
The other 13th Doctor hasn't even been on screen yet, so in theory, the real and better 13th Doctor.
And then she and the Master sort of fall in love.
Apparently. Well, so first the Doctor's like, I have etheric beam locators. And then the assistant's like, no, those are tits. And she's like, oh, really? I can see the on switch. Going for that other classic staple of comedy, boob comedy.
Yeah. That one was slightly funny. Just barely.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny because the Doctor's never been a woman before. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah, she also says, like, I've always wanted to get my hands on one of these.
The assistant's like, well, unfortunately, I haven't.
Then the assistant's like, I don't think this line has ever been used this literally, but you're just not the man I fell in love with.
Also chuckle-worthy, I guess.
Yeah. But then the Master's like, I never noticed you were so attractive. And she's like, yeah, I never noticed it about you either, Master.
And they kind of just go off and it ends.
The Doctor finds out there's a third setting to the sonic screwdriver. Stephen Moffat said that the only thing that he thought fans would get really up in arms about in this story was the sonic screwdriver joke about it having 3 settings.
I think that was more of a joke, because what he was saying in the behind the scenes is that a lot of quote-unquote hardcore Doctor Who fans aren't going to like a comedy spin on it. And then he goes on to say, like, well, the real, these are his words, the real Doctor Who fans have always known that the show has been a balance of comedy and, well, he actually doesn't even say balance. He just says it's been flat out a silly show most of the time. So he says the real fans are going to appreciate this. And then I think the thing about real fans not appreciating the sonic screwdriver was more just a joke. About how people hated the sonic screwdriver in the past.
Yeah, I think so. But he also says the hardcore Doctor Who fans, when he says that, he says, they might hate the comic spin, but then again, they've just always hated Doctor Who anyway.
Yeah,
so.
that's actually true. It's actually true. So, one thing that I found kind of weird from the behind-the-scenes thing was how everyone behind the scenes calls the Doctor Doctor Who. Where fans get super pissed about people calling the Doctor Doctor Who.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I don't do it, I guess, just not because I really care that much, but I just don't think about calling him Doctor Who, because they don't do it on the show. I just always call him the Doctor, but maybe I'll just start doing it just to piss people off.
Great. Yeah, I just call him the Doctor because, like you said, that's just what they call him on the show. Even though, a lot of people get up in arms about them calling them Doctor Who, even though the credits listed him as Doctor Who for the 1st through 4th Doctors. They didn't change it till Tom Baker's yet to the credits to read the Doctor instead of Doctor Who. Are you sure?
Wasn't it just like one season where it read Doctor Who?
No, it read it like solidly through at least the Pertwee era.
I don't remember that, but then again, I'm not going to go back to check.
Because I remember in one of our episodes, somewhere between Pertwee and Tom Baker, we mentioned, like, this is the first time they credited the Doctor as the Doctor and not Doctor Who. But both William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton were definitely credited as Doctor Who.
I remember one of them, I want to say it's Colin, specifically asked them to credit him as the Doctor, even though they'd already been doing that for years. But he specifically asked. I think it was Colin. I'm not 100% sure.
And I think when they reboot the show, as I guess we'll find this out next week for certain. I'm pretty sure the first season at least they credit the Doctor as Doctor Who. I think. I'm not certain. We'll find out next week.
Speaking of credits, we didn't mention that this is actually in 2 parts. So part 1 ends and it has like a credit-ish sequence, but there's actually no credits. It's just the vortex thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, did they just axe the credits because no one wanted their name attached to this? But no, they actually have real credits at the end. Without the Doctor Who theme, weirdly enough, it's some other song.
Yeah. They use the 4th Doctor's era theme for this one.
Maybe, actually, it is the Doctor Who theme. I'm thinking of the credits from the behind the scenes where they use another song. With a red outro sequence.
Yeah, because Comic Relief is part of Red Nose Day.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, I've heard of Red Nose Day. I don't even know what it is.
That's why there's a couple shots in the back behind the scenes where everybody's wearing red noses.
Yeah, I don't know what Red Nose Day is. I've just heard of it.
I don't actually know for certain what it is either. I guess we can look it up. RED space NOSE space day. Red Nose Day. Red Nose Day is a fundraising event organized by Comic Relief.
Oh, so it's just a generic... I thought it was for a specific cause, but... I mean, it probably is, but... Yeah.
They might have different causes every year, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, this is the one for 2017.
Oh, man, we missed it.
We missed it. Oh, no!
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. Just skimming over this, it looks like they have different people every year, but I don't know. I guess we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about the behind the scenes now.
I mean, it was kind of one of those DVD extra behind the scenes where they just really sell up the production.
Yeah, like we said in our Aladdin episode, kind of weird that they're trying to sell you on the story that's on the DVD that you're watching it on.
Yeah. The one funny part was when they interviewed the costume designer, and she was like super pissed. You could tell she was pissed about like the budget going to other sections of the production and not the costume department, because she was talking about how the master's costume, she was like, on a normal production we'd have 3 costumes for, like, you know, the clean one, the one where he fell in the sewers, the one where he fell in the sewers twice, and then the like super dirty one. So, but she's like, well, we only have one, we kind of just have to ruin it as we go along.
It was also funny, the fans talking about they built the Daleks and the control consoles for their fan project, and they showed a couple of clips from this fan project in the episode.
Looks way more high budget than the classic series. No, actually,
it looks less.
Actually, only looks slightly more expensive, or that doesn't make sense. Slightly less expensive than the classic show.
But it looks like it has way worse, like, cinematography and acting.
Yeah. So I guess this was kind of cool. They got the Daleks and the TARDIS props from this fan group. Yeah. And they were interviewing this one guy, and he was like, well, we wanted to make our own Doctor Who, so we started making Daleks, and we're like, well, we don't know how to make Daleks, so it was just a bunch of trial error, plastic, wood, and ping pong balls. Yeah. We eventually did it, and they actually looked pretty much like the ones from the actual show, so good on them, I guess.
And the console they were talking about was a pain to put together, because they had no measurements, they were just working from photos. And so everything just looks like it's supposed to look, quote-unquote, but
actually looks pretty good, so...
Yeah. Apparently the BBC found out about their thing because they'd been interviewed by, I think, Radio Times or some other magazine about their fan production.
Let her know.
The BBC's usually, was kind of lax about that back in the day, but anyway. They'd been interviewed by a magazine, and the BBC was like, we need props, can you lend them to us?
We need props ASAP, we have nothing.
I mean, they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And, the casting director, I don't know, was talking about how they, I think he said Hugh Grant always does something for them for comic relief, and, he was glad to take the part, because, he always does something every year, and they always get the biggest name actors possible for comic relief, because it brings in a lot of money, I guess. So, yeah. They got Rowan Atkinson, who was huge.
Apparently he said he's always wanted to play the Doctor, and he plays it kind of like Sylvester McCoy, in my opinion.
A little bit, yeah. The other Doctors don't get enough time on screen to really...
Yeah,
although they do get little moments, like the Shy Doctor was like, I don't think I'm into woman anymore, and the vain, cocky one who licks the mirror. That was interesting.
Yeah, they interviewed all the actors who played the Doctor, and what's his name, who played the very handsome Doctor? I think
it's Hugh Grant.
Yeah, I
want to double check that.
They interviewed them on their acting methods, and he just kind of awkwardly said, like, I don't want to talk about it. Just go away.
Yeah,
it's a really awkward part of the documentary, honestly.
I like to keep it under the rug, so to speak, or whatever.
Yeah, but he does it in the most awkward way possible. They also interview, Price, Jonathan Price.
Yeah, Jonathan Price.
Who plays the Master. He was probably the highlight of this, in my opinion. Wouldn't have been as good without him, honestly. And apparently he's a method actor, because he's, like, always in the Master's character.
Yeah. Richard E. Grant, who plays the mildly handsome Doctor. I feel like them having those names would have been a little bit of a slap in the face on the set. Can you imagine reading your script and like, I'm only the mildly handsome Doctor? Excuse me. Richard E. Grant would play another version of the Doctor. Before the BBC knew they were bringing back the show, they did some webcasts, or a webcast called Scream of the Shulker, with another version of the Ninth Doctor. And Richard E. Grant played that Ninth Doctor. It was like animated, so he provided the voice acting for that.
Animated, huh? When have any Doctor Who animated things ever actually had a good art style or animation?
Apparently they're making an official animated version of Shada. Don't know if you heard about this.
Yeah, I think I vaguely heard about that.
Which will have, I guess, actually get Tom Baker back to play the Tom Baker parts in the animated bits, instead of that Tom Baker impersonator that Ian Levine found on Craigslist. The metaphorical...
Really?
No, Craigslist didn't exist in the 70s.
Oh, well... They didn't make that in the 70s, did they?
I
think it was in the 90s.
Yeah, it must have been the 90s.
Anyway, another funny moment from the behind the scenes was when Jonathan Pryce was like, there have been many incarnations of the Master. I looked up one of them for half a minute and went from there. He says something funnier than my paraphrase, but...
Yeah. Well, he also says something about his method acting, about how destroying the universe keeps him sane, and also tea. Always tea.
Yeah.
When they're talking about the Daleks, Stephen Moffat mentions that he wanted to play a Dalek in it, so they put him in one of the Dalek costumes. Like, it's really small in here. And then one of the other Dalek actors was like, they always seem to forget you in the Dalek costume. And then we cut to Joanna Lumley, who's been being interviewed next to this Dalek for like the entire thing. And all of a sudden she's like, is there someone in this Dalek costume? I can feel hot breath coming out of it. And there's like, yeah, I'm still in here. And she's like, oh, oops.
I've been in here for 3 weeks. Send help. No.
So yeah, lots of little interesting tidbits like that.
Yeah, interesting, quote unquote. Yeah. Some of them were interesting, some of them really weren't.
There was also some outtakes. Jonathan Pryce had a funny line in one of the outtakes because the assistant jumps his line and she's like, who are we going to call now?
Ghostbusters. No.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. Then the Moss is like, my agent apparently, because you jumped my line.
Yeah, like I said, Jonathan Pryce was kind of the best thing about this.
True. Yeah, and then we get some...
I'm not familiar with Jonathan Pryce. I don't know anything else he's been in. I've probably seen stuff he's been in, but no, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how big he is. So
his page on the Doctor Who wiki is sparse because he's only in this.
Yeah, shorter than the page for Grapes, probably.
Still can't believe that the page for Grapes was so detailed. Yeah, and then at the end of the thing, we get 3, I guess, comedy sketches that appeared on other shows. Like, other shows were like, we can do Doctor Who comedy sketches now because Doctor Who's not on air.
Yeah,
although I think the third one actually must have come out when the Doctor was on air.
Only the first one was never broadcast ever.
Yeah.
The other 2 were broadcast at some point.
Well, so the first one is...
Are we actually going to go into detail on these?
I think we'll just mention what they are.
The first one was the only funny one in my opinion, and the other 2 actually, I don't want to say this because it's not like I can't take a joke, but the other 2 were like kind of cynical and mean humor about the show, whereas the first one didn't. Well, I don't know.
I think the second one was pretty lighthearted. I agree with the third one. I think the third one was really cynical about the show.
I mean, not like I can't take a joke about Doctor Who, but it just also wasn't even funny. Well, actually, parts of the third one were funny.
Thatchos was funny.
Yeah. No, and actually, I didn't think that part was funny.
Well, I just thought it was funny they brought in a Cyberman in a wig. And they're like, this is Thatchos. And I'm like, what?
The only part from the third one I thought was funny is like, what do we do now? And you're like, I don't know, run down nondescript corridors for 5 minutes. I was like, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Okay, well, so we should explain just what they are briefly. So the first one was from a show called, I think, Saunders and French. French and Saunders. And they were like...
It was never actually aired, so this is the first time. This is world premiere, I guess.
But they named it the Silurian Disruption. Basically, the Doctor's on trial again, and there's these 2 Silurian actors who keep messing everything up.
Yeah, so it's sort of meta, because they're the actors playing the Silurians from Siluria, which... isn't true. Yeah. Get it right. No.
They're from Earth. Yeah, it's kind of weird because they make a really big deal about them being from about the Inquisitor thinks she's also from Siluria, which makes her a Silurian, but she's actually not.
I mean, it's probably just a jab at like, well, any huge fans would know that they're from Earth.
Well, either that or it's a jab at how much continuity Doctor Who has.
I guess.
To known. It's like at some point all the continuity is getting like muddled because it's been so long since anybody in the program even remembers anything.
And they keep making specials, muddling it more.
The second one actually features Jim Broadbent as the Doctor again. He plays the Shy Doctor. So he actually plays the Doctor in the second.
No, I didn't notice that. Probably because he was dressed up a lot more.
And he faces off against Crayola.
He goes toe-to-toe with the mega corporation. No.
Just a monster. And then this was really short, and I didn't get it at all.
Yeah, I didn't get why it was supposed to be funny.
Because he runs in, And his assistant's like, what do we do? I guess clearly his assistant is sending up or mocking the fact that the assistant almost never did anything on the show, because she's like, what do we do? How do we do this? Doctor, what's going on?
Yeah, that part was kind of funny.
But then these guards come in, and then she's like, they freeze the doctor, and she's like, oh no, what are we going to do now? And then, I don't know, one of the guards says something like, search me. And I'm like, what? And then it just hard ends.
Yeah,
Oh, it's like, I don't get it. Maybe it's British humor.
Too deep for us.
Maybe.
Too smart for our generation.
And the third one is untitled, but it aired on the I think Lenny Harry show.
This one seemed like a Saturday Night Live kind of skit to me.
Yeah,
more so than the other ones.
Yeah, I think so. That one must have been aired while the show must have still been on, because the title sequence for that has Colin Baker's Doctor morph into I think it's Lenny Harry himself, the big LH. And then there's someone playing quote unquote Perry.
Yeah,
but she doesn't have.
She does the American accent way better. No. I
was gonna say she doesn't have nearly as recognizable American accent.
No,
in fact, I don't think she does.
No, I don't think she goes for the accent at all. This one wasn't that funny either. Like I said, the only thing that I thought was funny from this was the run up and down corridors thing.
Yeah, I thought the reveal of what Thatch House looks like was funny. I don't necessarily think the character was funny. Or said anything funny, but the fact that they had a Cyberman in a wig, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Going back to the behind the scenes, one thing we didn't mention is the assistant instead of the companion. I don't know why they decided to just have her be an unnamed assistant.
She had a name.
Well, I think it was just the assistant in the credits.
Emma. No, her name was Emma.
Well, okay.
But yeah,
but they mostly called her the assistant.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously poking fun at like how the companions don't do jack most of the time. Not most of the time, but like half the time.
Well, there's a funny little editing bit because she's like, all the companion does is, and then it cuts to companion screaming, cut to another companion screaming, cut to another companion screaming.
Yeah, so that was kind of weird because, I mean, obviously it was just a joke like in the actual production itself, but then in the behind the scenes they were like, yeah, the companion usually doesn't do much, and I was like, that's not really true. And then they cut to like the most cherry-picked scenes ever.
All of which come from Fourth Doctor eras too, because Sarah Jane did quite a bit, Leela did a lot, Ace did a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're pretty clearly.
I mean, yeah. Again,
cherry picking, but I guess it's for the joke.
Well, I mean, yeah. Obviously it's for the joke, but when they're actually talking about it, at least what I thought was seriously behind the scenes, yeah.
Well, then she mentions Leela was kind of
different and an outlier
and kind of sexy and did things,
and
she's like,
so did most of the companions after her. Maybe not like Perry or Mel, but
yeah, she was like, I called up Louise Jameson for advice. Okay. Apparently when this was made, it was designed to be able to be considered an actual continuation of the show, which is why they tried to stick to continuity when they could.
Yeah, would have been interesting if this actually spawned a series and Doctor Who became like a comedy.
Yeah,
more
Stephen
so than
Moffat
it already unintentionally is.
Stephen Moffat was like, man, kind of would suck if we continued from here on the show because we've already used 4 regenerations in this episode alone. But then I guess we get Joanna Lumley as the Doctor, which could be interesting.
But sadly, that's not this timeline.
No, in this timeline, we get Russell T coming in and remaking the show, and we get Christopher Eccleston as the 9th Doctor. Finally.
Yeah, that leather jacket, finally, next week. Bringing leather to Doctor Who. I've waited 50 years for this.
Nah, you've waited 6 months. Just since the 6th Doctor was like, I wanted to wear a leather jacket, but they wouldn't let me.
Oh, no, I wasn't even referencing that.
Oh, okay.
It's just the only thing I know about the 9th Doctor.
Is that he wears a leather jacket. Nice.
But no, I'm actually looking forward to the reboot after a heck of a long time just listening to audio. And we actually didn't do sort of a but retrospective on this run of audios / these two things. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have much to say about it other than I thought it would really capture I thought it was really going to be, you know, going back to the roots of Doctor Who and then sort of coming all the way forward again. But since the Big Finish audios didn't really capture the feel of the classic series or the particular era, not that they had to, but I was expecting they would more. So it wasn't really what I envisioned it, but I guess it was fun. Just can't wait to get back to actual on-screen stuff at this point.
I thought it was fun too, because I kind of liked seeing different takes on the eras, I guess, because I feel like at some point just always revisiting the era every single time would get kind of boring, as it did within the era sometimes. It was like, please, can we have a change? So, I mean, I kind of enjoyed that. These two kind of comedy specials, whether intentionally comedic or not.
No, these
looking at you, Dimensions in Time.
Dimensions in Time.
We're also kind of fun to
it was
do.
the Garm that showed up in Dimensions in Time. That was the really funny, I guess, kind of random villain yeah. The one I was talking about last week. It was like, who showed up that I thought was actually hilarious that they showed up? It was the Garm.
Oh, God, you finally figured it out. 1 week later. But I think these were kind of a funny diversion into, I guess, what could have been, so to speak.
Well, more so this than Dimensions in Time.
Can you imagine if Dimensions in Time launched another series and they regenerated into the 8th Doctor in the next episode? Woof. That would have been rough. Every episode is in 3D.
Every episode is a part of Noel's house party.
Noel becomes the executive producer on the show.
And the Doctor.
He reveals that Noel's house party has been a cover for this whole time for the Doctor. But I am also excited to finally get to the reboot because it's been like 3 years since I've watched any of these episodes that we're about to watch, so it's not like I just watched them yesterday and I'm watching them again. I actually don't remember what happens in most of these Ninth Doctor episodes at least, so it'll be fun, I think.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
I guess before we end, we should mention that we're also planning to re-record episode 0 and re-release it, I guess would be the term.
Episode 0, if you don't know, is an explanation of what this podcast is. So we're making it more up-to-date.
Yeah, we just want to, I guess, make it a little more up-to-date, a little more coherent. Just because I guess going into the reboot is a good time for people to pick up the show, not the show, the Doctor Who show.
Well, that might also be true.
That might also be true.
Since I'm guessing like 2 out of 3 Doctor Who fans only watch the reboot, and now since we watched the entire classic series, we can just be super elitist.
I
guess. You haven't even watched the classic show, have you? Just talk to me after you watch all the classic series.
And also have listened to 14 Big Finish audios.
I'll have you know I've read 5 Doctor Who novels, so
including Spiral Scratch. We just want to make it a little more up to date because it's a good time for people to get into the podcast. I guess it's a good accessible time, so we want there to be an episode that explains what we do for people who want to know what we do before we start the reboot. So that'll go out
probably the same day as the reboot first reboot episode of ours.
Or the day before, just to separate it a touch. So look for that. And so other than that, finally getting to the reboot. It's very exciting. I have to actually make another banner for the website again. Haven't done that in 3 months. You can email us at thedoctordecadentvegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on the curse of fatal death. Dun dun dun! You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play, all at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating or review if you liked the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time we finally start the reboot with Rose. But until then, the end.